Welcome, my dear friends, to part 2 of my miserable journey with a self-found, or also known as Untwinked, hardcore sorceress in Diablo 2. Today we'll be looking into nightmare difficulty, or as a super smart scientist slash philosopher holding a PhD in Diablo likes to call it, the land of frozen orbs. You can easily sum up the entire difficulty in one word. Frozen orb. Frozen orb. So with that summary done, we can jump into the action. Man, I can't see shit. I need my reading glasses. Alright, same as in the previous video. Table of contents sitting at the top of my palm, timestamps in the description, and your mouse should be on the subscribe button. Let's begin. Stats. Let's get the quick and boring part out of the way first. Put some into strength, depending on the items you find. Probably get to 156 with items by the end of the difficulty, because in Act 1 of Hell, you'll be looking for that Spirit Shield or Storm Shield. Rest into Vitality. Skills. Frozen Orb. Smack them skill points into it like it's Toby's channel subscribe button.
Is to go even further beyond!
If you've listened to my previous video, you should have respec into Frozen Orb at level 30, so you should have plenty of leftover skill points. Smack them into Cold Mastery simultaneously as you're leveling Frozen Orb. Actually, scrap that. For Cold Mastery, you need to put points gently, as if this was the video's like button, so that you wouldn't accidentally unlike it. Why is it so, you may wonder? The goal with Cold Mastery is to reach -100 to enemies' cold resistances, so it heavily depends on the items you're using. The reason for this is simple. Most monsters will have exactly 0 resistances, and if you apply -100 from Cold Mastery, that's the maximum possible effect. Resistances cannot go below -100. There will be a few exceptions, as well as act bosses who have higher resistances than 0, but those are far and in between. But most importantly, you need a secondary type of damage to take care of cold immunes, so -100 resistances on Cold Mastery is optimal. Remaining points go into Fireball and perhaps Firebolt if you still have any left. Items. As far as rune words go, unless you're pretty lucky and drop something like a Lem rune, there are no additional rune words available in Nightmare specifically. With that said, if you haven't made a Spirit Sword or Inside Pole Arm yet, now would be the time for it. I suppose Smoke can be one exception just because of the massive resistances. Regardless, in Nightmare it starts becoming all about the uniques you're able to drop, but I'll touch them a bit more in the act by act section of this video, as I feel it makes more sense that way due to how closely they're tied to the monsters that drop them. Other benchmarks you need to take into consideration. Well, ideally you want your resistances maxed out throughout the entire difficulty for hardcore, and you also want to hit at least 65% faster cast rate breakpoint. If you can get your hands on like a suicide branch, that's like good enough, because you'll have plenty of damage throughout the entire difficulty, even if severely lacking, plus skills on your gear. Once again, the land of frozen orbs, you'll be fine in the damage department. Just trust my Diablo PhD on this one. I suppose there are a few people mentioning this fire enchanted bug, where all fire enchanted monsters in Nightmare explode upon death and deal bug damage, which is significantly higher than it's supposed to, and catch you by surprise. Never felt or seen this personally, but there's a good, glorious MrLlama video explaining it, so I'll just link it in the description. The ending in that video is quite epic, so I do suggest taking a quick glance, if only for the ending. Now that we've got all those details out of the way, let's talk about each act, starting with Act 1, which is also known as the
Oh my god, Nightmare Alley is the best place for Stone of Jordan!
or something along those lines. Yeah, well, here's the problem. For hardcore, you don't need the Stone of Jordan anyway, because it's taking your 10% FCR and resistance slot. Sure, the damage is nice, but killing monster packs 0.5 seconds faster compared to the 20 hours of gameplay you'll need to redo just because you weren't tanky enough, the reward just ain't enough for me to compare to the risk you're taking. Other than that, there's not much to say about Act 1, it's fairly easy. Go run Countess a couple of times if you need runes for like Insight or Spirit, and you can probably also farm on Dariel for a few significant upgrades. Assuming future me didn't fuck up with the video editing, they should be showing on the screen right now with their drop chances, assuming you're running 100% Magic Find on players free difficulty. Most likely you won't even have 100% Magic Find by that point, and also most likely players free will be a bit too much, so we're looking at slightly worse odds for players 1, but I'm too lazy to provide that information, so just Google Silas Pen and check the numbers yourself. Either way, we're looking at hundreds of fronts for the best items and a bunch of truly useful items she can't even drop anyway. So I wouldn't suggest spending much time on her, I'd rather move to a better location like Nightmare Mephisto. Act 2. If you don't like Act 2 Nightmare, keep in mind it will only get worse in hell. Oh right, also hire a defensive mercenary for the Holy Freeze aura.
But Toby, I'm already using cold damage, why not use my aura instead?
Yeah, I know, damage is nice, but here's the problem. You don't really care about your mercenary's damage. He'll only do a fraction of what you're dealing, so my aura won't help you much anyway. Besides, the point of Holy Freeze is it works against cold immunes, therefore making you a lot safer. Plus, it can't be body blocked, so you're guaranteed to chill everyone around you, unlike something like Frozen Orb. Act 3. This is where you should actually spend quite a bit of time. The entire act is whatever, but Mephisto is where the goodies are dropping. Now, a lot of the times I hear advice saying farm Baal before going into hell difficulty, and while it's a legit advice, don't forget it's an absolute piece of shit of an advice. Look, you care about how fast you can get your hands on an item. Sure, Baal can drop Shaco, Wizard Spike, but the guy takes like literally 5 times more time to make a single run. 5 freaking times. Not to mention his drop chances for other crucial items like Viper Magi is like 50% worse. If you want Shaco, just go to Hell Mephisto and you'll have better odds of dropping that Shaco, as well as you'll be eligible for other goodies which Nightmare Baal can drop. The only reason to run Nightmare Baal instead of Mephisto is experience, which if you're taking the game rather slow and hit like level 70 or 75ish before then, isn't even needed anyway. Now that we've got that cleared up, here are some items that Mephisto drops. Same as with Andariel, assuming it's players free with 100 Magic Find. Players free is rather easy for Mephisto because of the mode trick. The 100% Magic Find part is debatable and largely depends on your luck. I think in my own playthrough I couldn't get past like 50 Magic Finds, so I just decided to ditch it and went to YOLO or something. Act 4. Frisky but nothing noteworthy. Make a goddamn good prayer for Hellforge. Mighty Hellforge, I offer thee the Brunsky's blood as a sacrifice. Please accept my humble offerings. To hit that sexy lime rune for treachery or Lawbringer for your mercenary, and I don't care what y'all tell me about mercenaries, Lawbringer Act 5 mercenary is the best shit out there. But I'll get to this in the part 3 of the series. Anyway, on to Act 5, and I suppose this is where you want to have those 65% FCR or even 105 for sure, but it's somewhat of a blurry line, so I wouldn't say it's mandatory. Other than that, the only other thing you want to know is, as I mentioned somewhere in this video, don't farm Baal for drops, only for experience, magic finding at Mephisto, leveling for hell at Baal. You want 70ish or 75ish for hardcore, and you're golden. Last thing worth mentioning is that before entering hell difficulty, make sure you have maxed out resistances and 105 faster cast rate breakpoint. But I'll continue with that in the third part of the series, thus telling you this video is actually done. So here's my usual thank you guys for watching, have a lovely day, and see you guys in the comment section. Cheers! Hey, this sounds just like you smashing that subscribe button after seeing this video.